All right, guys, so for this video, I want to cover the recent interview Derek Moneyberg did on Ariel Helwani's show. Okay, now I'm going to be honest, I do think this will be the last video on Moneyberg for a bit, because after this interview, I kind of feel like everything is finished. Moneyberg in this video essentially admitted to everything that we've already known about him and everything that he pretends are falsehoods, the kinds of things that he has sued other people for in the past. So what I want to do is go over some of those moments, as well as some moments where Ariel Helwani just absolutely cooked the guy and made him very uncomfortable. I know a lot of people dislike Ariel Helwani, but credit where it's due. I thought he did a great job in this interview, asking hard questions that normally Mr. Moneyberg would never engage with or even have to engage with. So without further ado, let's just get into the clips.
So when you say the Moneyberg business, that's the wealth management business?
Yes.
So people come to you to learn how to get rich, invest, increase their
the primary
portfolio.
Well, first of all, I don't manage anybody's money. To be clear about wealth management,
Okay.
I don't touch anybody's money. I don't manage anybody's money. That's not the sort of thing that I'm interested in. I'll leave that for Wall Street people that are nearby here.
Sure.
But, I help people with entrepreneurship and help them understand how do we start a small business and scale that. I help them understand fundamentals of real estate and how to invest in real estate. And there's many ways to make money in real estate. And then I help them understand, global markets, primarily the stock market is there.
So kind of like a consultant?
I think of it as like a wealth coach, or I try to help people make decisions that would lead to long-term wealth. There's no get rich quick. There's no get anything significant quick. But I try to help people think about their finances in a way that over a period of time that they could have a lot of financial freedom.
And this question may come off the wrong way, but it's not from a malicious POV. What makes you qualified to be that guy?
Well, I did all of those things.
Okay.
I built a real business. Unlike most people on the internet that talk about those things, I built a real business.
Which was what?
I helped build. Let me answer the question.
Okay. Well, no.
I built this business. I just got my ClickFunnels plaque for $50 million in revenue in this business.
Okay, so first of all, I need to point something out regarding Mr. Moneyberg here before we get into the actual content of what was said. In the Mikey Musumeci video that Derek and Jake Shields recently put out and then deleted, they were talking about Derek Moneyberg's physical health and his cardio being at about a hard 3 minutes, and if he was to get ready for competition, that he would need a bit of time to get his cardio up to par. Now, I think that was just a mistake, okay? Because here in this interview, Derek Moneyberg can't go a full 3 seconds without a very sharp, very loud inhale. The guy sounds like someone who just sprinted across the house to answer the phone or some shit. I mean, what the fuck, not to mention, sounds like he's chewing on cud, okay? Maybe he should drink some fucking water, but I think it's because he's nervous, because he knows he's going to get asked some tough questions, and immediately off the bat gets asked about his wealth coach business or whatever. Now, these are the financial scam courses, okay? Before we continue, I just have to point out how unbelievably circular that answer was from Mr. Moneyberg. So he is qualified to tell you how to build a business, because he has built a business, which is the Moneyberg business. But the business that he's built is the business of telling you how to build a business. Do you understand? So that means when he started the business of telling people how to build one, he hadn't actually done so yet and wouldn't have been qualified apparently. But either way, let's keep going.
And so this all leads to you getting your black belt. You have your black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. About 4 years later.
And from what I was told, it was around 3.5 years. From what I've read,
3 years and 7 months.
Okay, three years and 7 months, which is, as you know, you don't need me to tell you, an unbelievable feat, like almost unheard of. Some of the greatest BJJ practitioners of all time, BJ Penn, 3.5 years, Kyotera, 3 years. Like, you're in that discussion, and I think this has drawn the ire of the jiu-jitsu community. You probably don't need me to say this to you as well, right?
Well, BJ Penn congratulated me, by the way.
Sure.
And BJ Penn was my inspiration to do that.
Okay, and then we get into the black belt situation. And honestly, I don't know if this was intentional or not. I'm sure to some extent it was. But Helwani did this thing where he would kind of bounce from topic to topic. He would briefly ask about something completely normal, non-controversial, and then he would go to something a little bit more serious, or he'd ask about the black belt controversy and then go to a real legal issue. I don't know if he was just trying to, not let him sit there thinking about one subject, which would make it a lot easier to lie or whatever the fuck, but I feel like it did aid his ability to draw out answers in this interview. Now, I just want to point out that we have heard Derek try to bring up the fact that BJ Penn congratulated him about his black belt multiple times. And again, to that I say, BJ Penn thinks his mother is like a government cyborg or some shit with a massive ass who is out to get him. And let's be honest, he's probably smoking meth. Okay, honestly, I think fuck the cops at this point. Someone should send Dog the Bounty Hunter in there or something to get BJ Penn back on the straight and narrow. But regardless, a BJ Penn endorsement at this stage in the game unfortunately means nothing. In fact, it might even be more damning than it is helpful. Also, something we will see Derek do multiple times throughout this interview as well is try to downplay things that he has already said or make things sound a little bit more realistic or reasonable. So this is the first example of him saying, well, about 4 years when it comes to his black belt, even though everyone knows it was 3.5 because he made sure to let everyone know that it was 3.5 years. Do you know what I mean? But now it's like, oh yeah, 4 years or something like that, which I guess sounds slightly more reasonable, but either way, let's keep going.
Regarding the amount of years, yeah, maybe that's a shorter amount of years. Regarding the amount of time, I spent more time in the gym than most of these people that, I'm not a professional fighter. And I think there's some confusion on the internet about that. I'm a professional businessman. I'm not a professional fighter. There's nowhere on the internet that I ever talked about, I'm going to win this competition, I'm going to win worlds, I'm going to win ADCC, I'm going to be a UFC champion. I started in my 40s, dude. Like, that's not a realistic thing. It was never my goal. But it was a good thing for fitness. It was something that was in the back of my head that I always wanted for like self-defense, that like, I'm a big guy and I'm in my 40s and I can travel around the world and feel pretty safe. 20 years from now, when you're in your 60s, are you really going to be able to protect yourself or protect your girl or your family if you don't have some real fight training? It's probably not realistic, And I really like to travel. I've been in a lot of countries, probably you have too. So, I'd like to have that confidence later in life, and it's a good fitness thing.
But because you are a businessman, that also calls into question how you're able to pull this up, because pro fighters are doing this 24/7 if they're able to, right? They have no other job for the most part. And so for someone in their 40s to get a black belt while also being a business and running this multi-million-dollar business, as you say, it does ring some alarms, right? You can understand why.
I'm not a Wall Street stock trader. I don't have to buy and sell and buy and sell. But sometimes I buy things, I might sell it 3 years later, 4 years later. So
but you're doing stuff in your business.
So I have to have an awareness of what's going on in the market day to day.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, what a non-fucking answer from Mr. Tummyberg to what was a really good question from Ariel Helwani. Okay, you claim to be this super busy businessman, sun up to sundown, getting shit done, and how you don't ever stop working, and that's the difference between you and the poors or whatever. Even though you are your own boss, you still are constantly working and blah, blah, blah. But you still had enough time in the day that in 3.5 years, you were able to put in essentially an entire year's worth of a full-time job. And your answer is, well, I'm not a stock trader or broker. Like, oh, okay, dude. Well, you know what? That makes everything you said 100% true. Fuck me, dude. Forgive me. Okay, I didn't know you weren't a stock trader. I mean, what the actual fuck does this guy think he's doing here? Also, you can tell he is extremely nervous because he is still breathing like Darth Vader. And I just want to say it's a good thing that Helwani has a fucking nose on him. Otherwise, I reckon he'd be starting to feel a little bit lightheaded right now from a lack of oxygen. Okay, but let's keep going.
To the best of my knowledge, you've never competed in a Mundials or an ADCC, right? BJ got his black belt after winning the Mundials. Khamzat Chimaev got his black belt after winning the UFC title. Have you competed against anyone to earn this black belt?
I got my ass kicked for 2 years by a bunch of UFC champions and top
behind
contenders.
Closed doors, though, right?
So,
no one's able to see this.
I don't give a shit.
No, I understand that.
No one sees your bathroom or what you do behind closed doors either, because it's not
but I don't.
business.
I don't get awarded a belt for my bathroom activities.
You got a belt, but change of context.
Sure.
You have a black belt as well, yeah?
I do not. Well, I have a black belt right here, and some might say, with all due respect, it's as legitimate as yours.
Okay, now Mr. Derek Moneyberg, in my opinion, is quite good at pivoting, so whether or not he's had media training or something like that, I'm not sure, but I would not be surprised, okay? Because what a horrible comparison he just tried to make there. Just a fucking ridiculous analogy. Gets called out on it immediately because Helwani is not an idiot. He immediately says, yeah, well, I don't get awards for my bathroom activities. And with the snap of a finger, we change context to Mr. Moneyberg bringing up the fact that Helwani has an honorary black belt on his desk as well. Now, I do kind of wish sometimes that Helwani was maybe a little bit more like debate-brained and made it known to the audience how unbelievably fucking stupid that analogy just was, just to score some optics points. But it's all good, okay? Because he closed it off with yeah, well, with all due respect, some say mine's worth as much as yours. And the difference between the two of these guys in that regard is that Helwani knows his black belt is not real and has never pretended that it was, okay? But let's keep her going.
Are you paying these guys
Of course.
to teach you? Are you are you paying them to come on your show?
I also paid tuition at my university.
Sure.
That's how that works. When you have a teacher or a coach or a mentor, you pay them.
But there's a
My
conflict.
clients pay me.
Sure, but there's a conflict involved when you're paying top dollar for people to come to your house and sleep with you, and then they want to sleep at your house, you know, in another room or something, in your apartment, correct, in Chicago.
Be clear about that. They're not sleeping with
Yes,
me.
I mean, like they're
people
bunking
stay in a guest room.
exactly in your apartment. That's part of the deal, right?
People stay in a guest room at a
Exactly.
property that I own.
But they spend the weekend with you. Like you'll have fighters come over.
Yeah, usually
I've
spend
talked to
4
some of
days
these
together.
fighters. I want to understand what your business is. And so my understanding is they get paid to come on the show, right? On the YouTube channel.
Depends on the context. The way that I've done that, I did interviews with 300-ish professional athletes and, you know, people of interest, you know. A lot of them were athletes, a lot of them were fighters. And yeah, some of those people came on because, you know, it depends where they're at in life and what their circumstances are. I mean, some people, frankly, came on for free and maybe they should have paid me to come on because it did a lot more for them than it did for me.
All right, now Helwani starts it off with a do you pay these guys to teach you, which is a very obvious question because basically everyone has to pay their coaches. But it was to set up this line of questioning that I did think was quite good. And we got from the ogre's mouth himself something that we already knew. And that is that he pays guys to come on his show and essentially hang out with him. And later on, we will even hear why. And again, it's what we've all known all along anyways, but when Mr. Moneyberg can just sit there next to Jake Shields while he giggles and nods along to literally anything Moneyberg will say, he can come off sometimes as though he's making good points when I don't think I've ever heard him a single time bring up a point and I'm like, oh, you know what? That's actually fucking true or something. So he says, oh, I paid my university in tuition or whatever, which is even a little different than what he normally says because I think he knows that in this setting, he will get called out on it. The line of questioning is to set up or establish a conflict of interest going on. Now, normally we have heard Moneyberg in the past say, I paid my professors, which he knows is not true. You pay the institution, probably in some respect, to actually avoid conflicts like the one that we have here, where you have got one individual who holds power in a field directly incentivized by money to give you what you want. But when a professor has a salary paid by the university, and that doesn't change whether or not you do well, you can kind of eliminate that just a little bit. Do you know what I mean? On the other hand, we've got fighters being treated to the lavish lifestyle and getting paid massive amounts. They are absolutely incentivized to keep this guy around. So again, really well done from Ariel here. Kind of forced Moneyberg to defend the conflict of interest rather than even ask if there was one. And lastly, on this clip, I want to say there is not a fighter in the world that benefited from going on Derek Moneyberg's bot-viewed show, something else that we will get to in just a little bit.
But you have said you will compete against Sean Strickland, right?
That's a very different context. For him specifically, I'd be open.
He is a pro fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to compete against him because you have an issue with him or you feel disrespected by him?
It seems like he has an issue with me. I've been nothing but a gentleman to him. Seems like he has an issue with me, and he said a lot of nasty things that are false.
Like what? Like what is he accusing you of that is bothering you?
You could look on the internet and see the things that he said, and I don't want to misquote him here, but No, he said a lot of things about my character, about my business that aren't true, they're outside of the black belt. Sean Strickland, he's allowed to have whatever opinion he might want to have about my black belt. He has a black belt. He's a world champion fighter. It'd be hard not to argue that he's a subject matter expert at fighting. So he could have whatever opinion that he wants to. When he says things about my business or about me personally that are derogatory, that goes beyond the realm of a fair opinion, and he's just being malicious at that point.
So if he would have just said, look, man, I don't believe you actually earned this black belt 3.5 years or 3 and 7 months, you'd be okay with that? You feel like he's crossed the line and made it personal?
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to say it.
Okay.
Okay, so here we get into the Sean Strickland stuff a little bit. And again, this is kind of an example of Helwani leaving something and then coming back to it, because later on we will get to Sean Strickland yet again, but essentially after Moneyberg kind of admits to everything that Sean said about him. So just to really briefly summarize it, essentially Sean said everything that has already been proven to be true, at least up until this point in a court of law, that Moneyberg pays for media attention. He doesn't get any organically, that his financial courses are bullshit, something we kind of established earlier on when we went over how he was qualified to tell you how to build a business, but the only business that he's built is the one telling you how to build a business. He alleges that Moneyberg paid Jake Shields close to $500,000 up until this point, and that's why Jake Shields will pretend like everything is good and true regarding Moneyberg, that he tries to file slap lawsuits when people call him out on his shit. Okay, now we'll summarize again, because in my non-expert legal opinion, I believe that this interview alone is enough to get any case that, Moneyberg throws on Sean Strickland tossed out. But we'll talk about it again when it gets brought up.
From the moment that I was presented that belt, which was July 3rd, I think,
of this year,
July, yeah,
by Jake Shields.
Yeah, and also in the room were Glover Teixeira, Lyoto Machida, Frank Mir. So the four of them came to...
None of those guys have any connection to each other in terms of they don't come from the same lineage or train together. So it's kind of like this hodgepodge of MMA superstars, which is unique in its own right.
I don't know that I would call any of the four of them a hodgepodge, but
they are a random group of guys.
Three of them are UFC champions.
I understand, but they're not connected.
Strikeforce champion.
They don't train together.
They're all jiu-jitsu black belts.
Okay, but historically, you get a sort of belt upgrade based on your coach that you've been with, from the white belt to the black belt.
I received my belt from one coach. I received my belt from Jake Shields.
Oh, all of them. All of them. No, brown, purple.
Oh yes,
blue. Yes.
And regarding the Sean thing, so those four gentlemen were in the room with me. That they had coached me, they had trained me, so they had helped me develop that skill set. And when we left that room, there's already a commentary, a lot of congratulations and a lot of nice things, and then Sean Strickland had a lot of negative things to say about it. And again, regarding the belt, he's entitled to do that. He can have whatever opinion he wants to, but he never met me. He's never had a conversation with me. And he's making a lot of interesting assumptions, or pretty negative assumptions based on that. But in any case, and I wrote him privately, and I was gentleman about it. I wrote him privately, and I said, Sean, I asked you twice to do an interview with me, and you declined. It just never happened. And
now, I thought this clip was just amazing because it shows his lack of knowledge in the world of martial arts. He was almost virtue signaling on behalf of Frank Mir, Glover Teixeira, Jake Shields, and Lyoto Machida because of the word hodgepodge that Helwani used, not able to understand the concept of lineage, when what Ariel said is absolutely true. He essentially just has these guys in the room so he can name drop, so that anyone who doesn't understand the concept of lineage would just be like, well, 3 UFC champions and a Strikeforce champion say that the black belt is legit, then it must be legit. Ariel in no way was being degrading towards those 4 guys. He was just correct. They are kind of a hodgepodge and have no real relation to one another. Also, I think it's absolutely fucking hilarious that he thinks this answer makes him look good. The fact that Strickland turned down multiple interviews by this guy, I think, is just a good thing and doesn't make him seem more unreasonable, which is what Moneyberg's trying to paint him out to be here. But let's keep going.
Can I ask, how much have you paid Jake over the years?
I don't know exactly.
What do you think?
I pay him well.
What do you think?
A few $100,000.
Would it be unfair to hypothesize that he gave you a black belt just because you pay him very well?
Yeah, I do think it would be unfair for numerous reasons.
Why?
I mean, Have you trained with some of these guys? And sincerely, I'm not trying to poke.
No,
at
no,
you.
I
It's
don't.
like
I don't. I'm a journalist. I don't train with them.
I'm mostly a businessman.
I understand.
But yeah, I mean, if you this Jake has come to me. We started in November 2001, and it comes like every 4 weeks. Plus, we've trained in other places together.
2001. 24 years.
21.
Okay, sorry.
My mistake.
No problem.
And thank you for correcting me. 2021. So 4 years. And yeah, he's come to me 50 times. He's never had an excuse. If he had an injury, he shows up. If I have an injury, I show up. We work around it. He's been a great person. He's helped me a lot.
All right, so there is one of the things that Sean Strickland claimed, and since we know that Derek Moneyberg already likes to downplay things to seem a little bit more reasonable, like he did earlier with the amount of time that it took him to get his black belt, that I would just be inclined to believe Sean Strickland, who, by the way, claims that he was told this by Jake Shields, that it was $500,000. And I mean, the jump from 300 to 500,000 isn't that much in the grand scheme of things. Saying a few $100,000 makes it sound a little less extravagant compared to someone being able to say $500,000. He also said that Jake comes to him about every 4 weeks. Okay, this is something that I brought up in the first video I did on Derek Moneyberg, because Jake Shields actually said this to Spencer Cornelia in DMs on Instagram, that he trains with him about once per month, which even if they train together for 10 hours each of those times, it only accounts for 500 of the alleged 3,000 hours that he's trained in the last few years, which kind of makes it even crazier how fast he got his black belt. Not to mention makes the amount of money pretty crazy as well.
The controversies online, people focus on 3.5 years.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal because this means the world to these guys.
No, dude, I did the same amount of training they did in less years, and I did it with their icons and idols, and I think there's a jealousy component to that. I do.
Respectfully, I don't believe that.
You
These men and women
may or may not
do
believe
2-3 a days since they're teenagers, and it takes them 10, 15 years to get a black belt through blood, sweat, and tears. UFC title fights.
For some of that,
We've never seen you in a competition. We've never seen you in one competition, even like a white belt competition.
Because I never tried to be a competitor. I had no interest in that.
But then that calls into question this black belt. The black belt feels like a Happy Meal black belt.
Then you're here questioning it, and that's okay. I don't really mind if you question it.
You don't, because I'm happy to hear that, because you've had some issues with people who have criticized you in the past, right? There's a famous case with a YouTuber, Spencer Cornelia, where you...
That's not criticism. It's slander and
defamation. You felt like he was hitting you below the belt, so to speak.
He said numerous lies about me and repeated them to a broad audience.
Ultimately, the case got dismissed, though.
The next court
now
date,
you're appealing
we're on appeal.
Yeah.
And in the Ninth Circuit Court, the next court date is less than 2 months from now.
Okay, now first of all, if his belt is a Happy Meal black belt, I guess that would make Moneyberg a cross between Grimace and the big man Ronald McDonald himself. Furthermore, what a seamless transition that was from Helwani. Okay, I mean, goddamn. The guy goes, oh, you don't mind if I question it? I'm happy to hear that, because here's this thing that kind of contradicts you being okay with criticism and uses it to get into the Spencer Cornelia stuff, who Moneyberg sued over a lot of the stuff he admits to in this fucking interview. Cornelia claimed that Moneyberg buys engagement on social media, as well as other media attention. The latter of those two came out to be true in a deposition. In fact, Derek Moneyberg couldn't even remember if there was a media outlet that he didn't pay for an interview. He claimed that Moneyberg forces testimonials on about week 3 of his course without notifying before purchase, which is something that Moneyberg has amended, because that was actually kind of against the law to do. Okay, now it is mentioned on his website now, but if you want, you can check out my first video that I did on Derek Moneyberg for proof of that not being the case earlier on. He brought up past information, all of which was public record, and some of the info contradicted his self-made image, or that he came from poverty, or whatever the fuck. Almost all of these claims we'll get into in this interview, and also are in fact true, and he all but admits to it.
So can we take a step back, though, and I'd love to know, because this is a rare opportunity to ask you about your past and history, because I think that's what, gets brought up when people are starting to look into this black belt. As you mentioned, tough upbringing, right? Didn't have, a lot to your name, had to fight, people would pick on you. Is that all accurate?
I mean, there's no context for the things that you're saying. So yes, those are
Tough
accurate
upbringing.
things with...
You didn't have a lot of money to your name. You weren't a kid who grew up in a multi-million-dollar home.
No, I wish there were, in some ways I wish that were true. In other ways I probably am grateful that it's not. You know?
It shaped who you are as a person.
That's fair.
Your first million came when? Late 20s?
29.
29.
28, 29, 29.
You had a kid though in your mid 20s, right?
I was 20.
20. Is his name Dylan? And do you have a relationship with him now?
You know, I tried to be very good to him in the past, and we don't talk much. If he calls me, I answer his call.
How come?
If he texts, because he's my son. So if he calls me, I
How
answer
come
his
you
call.
don't talk much? Why don't you talk much to your son? Your only son, correct? Your only child?
Yes. Yeah, we just don't have that type of relationship.
Okay. Does that bother you?
I suppose I wish I had ideal relationships with my parents, and I wish I had an ideal relationship with my son, and then there's life, you know?
Okay, now I included this clip for two reasons mainly. Number one is how he claims he allegedly came from a very tough upbringing, something that we just touched on and will become more relevant in just a little bit. And to show that Helwani really did do his fucking homework here, okay? Because not even I was aware of Derek Moneyberg's son. Not that I would have included that in my videos or attacks on him or whatever. The kid clearly doesn't want to be involved with his dad, so I think it would be unfair to poke and prod regarding that. But you know, I was just impressed because of all the digging I did on this guy, and I never found anything about a child. But either way, let's keep going.
The 5 properties that you inherited, I believe from your mother, right? After she passed, there was some, you know, questions called into that as well, right?
I think you got a few facts wrong, but I think you're talking about the legal disputes from 2012, where the 8th Circuit Court overturned that. It unanimously ruled.
But yes,
in
for the
favor.
5 properties, right?
I don't remember how many properties are involved, but that had something to do
5
with...
properties were seized that you inherited from your mother over allegations that they were used for manufacturing drugs or used to buy via drug proceeds.
I never charged with anything, zero convictions.
But is that the wrong way to describe what the
I don't know what the internet
accusation
says,
was?
but
Oh, I'm asking you, not the internet. You're right here. This is a great opportunity to clear it up.
My name's not on that. And furthermore, the way that I recall this, and now you're asking me something from 13 years ago, I believe that's 2012.
These are big moments in one's life that shape you into the person that you are today.
I don't think it's such a big moment.
No?
Wow, okay, so again, this is stuff I covered in recent videos, but when this guy acts like he's all self-made and came from poverty and shit, it's just a blatant fucking lie, okay? Imagine inheriting so many properties that you don't remember how many properties you inherited. I mean, that is just fucking insane, okay? And as Moneyberg mentioned, the seizure got overturned, which means he still got to keep those 5 properties to do with what he pleases. Now, you could argue, well, he used that money and did very well for himself, and that's fine, but that is not how he portrays his situation. If he said, yeah, you know what, I got a nice inheritance from my mother, and I used that to turn into something fucking huge or whatever, that's fine. I don't know why people would be ashamed of having parents that set you up financially speaking, but he doesn't do that because he knows that the audience he is trying to reach are people that are not financially literate, and statistically speaking, those are people who did grow up poor and didn't have anyone to teach them about those sorts of things. Not to mention, he is targeting an audience, the MMA fan base, where there probably are a lot of people that actually grew up poor or actually came from a tough upbringing, so he probably thinks he can relate a little bit better that way if he has something in common with them.
When I asked you, you know, what qualifications you have to be the wealth management coach that you've become, you explained to me the PhDs and all that stuff. What qualifications did you have to be this, you know, dating coach, if you will?
People got good results and they kept coming back. And I don't know what would be the qualification.
I don't know. I don't know what becomes, like, how you become that guy. You know, I wouldn't even know where to begin.
I say this respectfully. I don't mean to be disrespectful. I have no disrespectful intentions towards you whatsoever. But that's like saying, like, why are you qualified to run the show? It's like, I don't know, because you're pretty fucking good at it. You know, you're good at it.
I went to Syracuse University, have a broadcast journalism degree, so I would say that's the biggest qualification, plus the hours that I've put in. But yes,
I didn't know about the degree, but I would say the primary thing is like you're.
Did you get a degree in dating? You know, dating advice.
I only had degrees in business. If there's one, maybe there's some new politically correct thing that I'm not aware of, where you can get a degree in victim studies or all kinds of shit today. So.
What?
Oof. Okay. So I think that's a question a lot of people have been wanting to know the answer to, honestly. And if I can just say, if you took this guy's advice on how to get women, then you are probably more mentally vulnerable, okay, with all due respect, than the people who think giving him $20,000 for financial courses is a good idea. I mean, would you just look at the guy, for crying out loud? And back then, he was in way worse shape than he is now. Also, I thought it was absolutely fucking hilarious how he thought he had a good point there and was gonna try and flatter Helwani a bit while pretending like he was about to say something that could be offensive. With all due respect, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you're very fucking good at this. Nice try, motherfucker. Also, absolutely fucking hilarious that he wasn't aware of the degree that Helwani holds that is of direct relevance to his field of work. But either way, let's keep going.
Different style than the ones, the kind of interviews that you have on your show, right?
We're good.
Can I be honest about your videos?
Don't lie to me.
Okay, I won't do that. I'm not a liar.
Go ahead. What do you got?
I'm a little uncomfortable sometimes watching the interviews because it feels to me like these are fighters who are taking a paycheck from you, just being honest. I've heard around like 7,500 or so. Is that accurate?
That sounds pretty high to me.
Okay.
Even with inflation, that sounds pretty high.
What is it per appearance?
It depends who it is. Some people I give them nothing, and some people I might have give them
feel
five.
bad for those people. Other people are getting paid and they're not getting anything?
Well, when somebody shows up on your show, you have to make a decision who you're going to put on your show or not. Who are you going to? So there's some people, they're at a place in their career where they're a talented person, where I personally like them, and I think let me help give this guy some attention. Maybe that's good for his career. Okay?
I guess the thought is that people think that.
And if I could fully answer, then there's somebody else. It's if somebody's a multi-time UFC champion and I pay them $5,000 to show up, then I'm just showing respect for their time. There's a lot of things they could do for that.
Do you think you can get guests without paying them?
I get a lot of guests without paying them.
See, and this is what I was talking about, okay? The paying fighters to come on the show thing got brought up at the very beginning, essentially. And we hit on a bunch of different points and then bounced back to it. And again, whether or not it was intentional, I do think it makes it harder for someone to lie when they kind of don't know what you're going to ask next. And by the way, we had all been hypothesizing how much the appearances were, and it sounds like he was gonna say, well, some people get about 5K, which honestly is kind of fucking crazy when you think about who's going on this show. I mean, there are some guys like Ode Osborne or Joe Pyfer or whatever, certain guys who don't make a lot of money as a fighter, but then you've got multi-millionaire fighters going on there and helping this guy sell courses for $5,000. I mean, what the fuck? That's absolutely insane.
Wealth management is concerned, how much do people actually have to pay you? How much do people have to pay you to do these?
We have programs starting at $97, and then we have things that are only available to somebody who's been around, has gone through the courses, who knows the material, and they're going to be able to have a coherent conversation in a room full of people that have similarly, gone through the same training, and we can talk about, those topics fluently, between real estate, interconnection of business in general, of entrepreneurship, real estate, stocks.
Because I saw some of the numbers, and again, this is not my world, so I could be completely off base here, but the numbers seemed, quite high in terms of how much, courses I saw are from 5,000 to 20,000 to even one-on-one mentoring for around 60,000. Is that accurate or no?
Yeah, the 5,000 to 20,000 is very common, and then we've done a few one-on-one things where somebody requests something specific or particular that we could do, one-off things for more money. Sure,
it's a lot of money. So you're dealing with a higher echelon of clientele.
I mean, I don't. The people that are interested in learning about business and finance they're trying to make serious money.
Right.
So I don't think it's so much money when I pay somebody $5,000 to come do something for me, and
they have to post they have to post reviews, right? Testimonials.
Reviews is the right word.
Okay.
We have how much footage where I say, you are required to create a review as part of the homework.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, this was a very good question from Helwani because I've always wondered this as well. People with an extra $5,000 to $20,000 just laying around. I don't know why people like that spending money on a course like this. But I guess then you only need a few suckers compared to how many you would need if the courses were like 20 bucks or something like that. Do you know what I mean? But either way, at the end of that clip, we kind of get into, or start to get into, the forced testimonials, and right away he wants to change the framing to reviews, and fine, fair enough, okay? But then he very quickly says how it's stated everywhere all over his website and whatever else, which again, that is an amendment on his part, as that absolutely was not the case, which then led to guys starting the course, getting to week 3, and being forced to give a review, and if they didn't, they would be kicked from the course with no reimbursement whatsoever.
You can say
midway through, because all the ones that
you can say in your review, you can say, Derek's kind of grumpy and I don't love his personality, but I learned some useful things from the program. You can say whatever you want to. They can say anything they want to.
I saw a lot of
but they are
reviews.
required to post a review, or to create a review.
midway through, right?
I don't know what week it is. Week 4 out of 10 or something. Maybe?
Well, I saw a lot of the reviews said, I'm halfway through. This has been incredible. Like, I saw a lot of the ones on your website and they're all positive, but it struck me as to why everyone was saying, I'm halfway through. Like, why not just wait until the end to give the
we do
review?
them at the end as well.
Right. But why do they have to do it? Like, is it because I also saw you say if you don't get your review in by tonight, you're out?
It's a feedback mechanism that I
Right.
can understand. Where is that person in the course? I can see their face on a video. I can see them saying to me, this is the good and the bad. It allows me to create a linkage of that face and name more strongly. And it's a feedback mechanism. I think we really do like week 4, and then it's do week 5 maybe. So that's what.
So the whole
I
thing's
say
10
halfway
weeks?
through. 2 of the programs are 10 weeks, and the one about entrepreneurship is 12 weeks. That it was just a lot, and I put more in there, and it's a lot of information to cover.
Okay.
And there it is. Now, I do find it absolutely fucking hilarious that his examples of saying whatever they want is that he's grumpy or some shit, and not that the course is absolute dog shit. Because if you were to look on his website, every review posted is extremely positive. But again, these are claims that he has sued people over, and he's just admitting to them now. Yes, I require reviews about halfway through, and if they don't do it, then they're kicked from the course that they gave me $20,000 for, or $5,000 for, or whatever the fuck it may have been. A feedback mechanism, he called it. Again, trying to downplay or even just make things seem a lot more reasonable than they really are.
What's the issue with Mikey Musumeci?
I think a lot of that's smoothed out, actually. I think...
You just posted like 2 days ago on your channel.
and we
You
had
called him a Jiu-Jitsu Judas.
and we had a conversation since then.
In the last 2 days?
Yeah.
Okay. And so where are we at? Well, because that's news. This is breaking news.
Breaking news.
This is Frank. Hit
Breaking
the music.
news. No, I spoke to Mikey since then.
Thank you, Frank.
It's cute. I love it.
Thank you.
I spoke to him since then, and I think there are a couple things where I think he miscommunicated a couple things, and I think that he had good intentions overall. Mikey's a good person. I don't have anything bad to say about Mikey.
He's tried to
even in
distance
that video.
himself from you, it seems like.
Would you like me to answer the first question, or are you going to just?
No.
Then let me answer the question.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I'm sorry, I'm long-winded.
I know. I know you have a heart out too, so I'm trying to.
But I am trying to give you.
I get it.
But I am trying to give you a sincere answer.
I appreciate it.
I spoke to the guy on the phone for 39 minutes. Okay, and he said, "Hey, Derek, I didn't mean it that way. I apologize if it came off that way."
Mean what?
And Wesley,
Just because I don't know.
well, he made comments in some of the other videos, in a couple of interviews that he was in. He made comments that well, Derek doesn't train, Derek doesn't this and that, and he clarified that to me that from his perspective, the guy's something like a 20-time world champion. He's UFC champion twice now. I think he won Worlds 5 times. I think he was 5 or 6 time champion at one championship. He won some other big tournaments. The guy's amazing, by the way. He's super talented. He's brilliant. So there's a lot of things I really like about Mikey, and I don't want to say one bad thing about him.
Okay, now that breaking news music to me, and the timing of it, I thought was just absolutely fucking hilarious. And even Helwani saying, thank you, Frank, under his breath. And then we get into some of the Mikey Musumeci stuff, which I did cover on this channel, which is crazy, the tune change from one day to the next. I don't want to say one bad thing about him. He says, after him and Jake Shields spent about 45 minutes trying to do some sort of expose or whatever. But yeah, spoke to him on the phone for 39 minutes, wrote him a quick check, told him I'd sue him if he kept talking shit, and then he had to go on Jake Shields' podcast and pretend like everything was just all fucking gravy, okay?
But when he makes some of those comments, then I'm like, why? What are you doing, bro? And then he did it again, and then he did it a third time, and then he did it a fourth time. And I'm like, I have to address that after the fourth time. And like, and I think from his perspective, and I'm not putting words in his mouth, but he and I are going to leave that lie. But my last word on it, it'll be on your show, okay? He said, from his perspective, he's like, Derek, I spent my life training to be a world champion, and that's how I think about, training is like, you're not doing that kind of training. And I said, well, I never said I could beat up Nicky Rod. I never said I could beat up Gordon Ryan. Gordon's a good friend of mine. When I roll with Gordon, he fucks me up in about a minute, But Mikey and I are good. I said, I don't think it's fair to be held to that standard that I'm supposed to beat world champions. I never trained to be a pro fighter. I'm not a pro fighter. I'm a hobbyist fighter. I train for self-defense. I'd be very effective in those areas. Mikey and I are good. So shout out to Mikey, respect to Mikey.
Darth Rigatoni.
Darth Rigatoni, indeed.
Man.
That guy's very talented. I like him. I respect him, and I wish him well. And neither
Will
one
you
of us
follow
have
this up on your channel or no? Or are you just going to leave?
I'm here with you.
No, I mean, but your last video.
Maybe it's on my to-do list this
it's
afternoon.
It's a tough title to give someone. You and Jake Shields spent 45 minutes slagging him off, the poor guy.
I wasn't mean to him in that thing.
I thought you guys were a little harsh.
I thought he was harsher.
Okay, fair enough.
And we had a conversation since then, and I'm done with that.
All right, fair enough.
And I respect him, and I wish him well. And you know what? And I'll probably take the video down furthermore.
And by the way, he did actually take the video down. So I'm glad I recorded it and documented it before that happened. But again, Tomyberg just trying to make it seem wholly unreasonable that someone would compare him to world champions. Meanwhile, the only people who have gotten their black belts that fast were essentially world champions. A lot of them. The best grapplers in the world didn't even get it that fast, as we've seen from Derek many of times, just attacking strawmen and shit so he can pretend like everyone else is being unreasonable and crazy, but not him. Either way, let's keep going.
Negative white belt if I went in there. I have no skills whatsoever when it comes to this, but I'm not parading around with a black belt and trying to defend.
I'm not parading anything. I don't give a shit what the public thinks about my black belt.
There was
the coaches that trained with me know.
Yeah.
The coaches that trained with me know. The people that matter know. And the people that don't know, it's not my job to satisfy every critic and hater in the world.
That's fair.
I don't. You know what? Critics don't
think.
get paid much.
You don't care what people think. So can I ask?
Why should I care why would I care what a random person thinks?
Okay, so then that's you should be that way. Why, when I go on your Instagram, do you have like 40, 50,000 likes but 100 comments? That would suggest to me that a lot of those likes are bought, and that would suggest to me that you do care what people think if you're buying those likes.
Marketing is marketing. You market your show the way you want to, and I'll market my brand the way that I want
to. That's 100%. But you just said you don't care. So then why would you buy?
You're changing the context, and you just changed the context 3 different ways.
How? How?
So we were talking about Mikey, which I was going to clarify and say the last word here, and I'll do that, and then we'll carry on as you wish.
Wow, okay, so first of all, a very smooth transition from Ariel Helwani there. Use Derek Tomyberg's own words against him to be like, well, you said you don't care about this, but what about this contradictory thing that says otherwise? And Derek's immediate reaction was, well, that's marketing, because what Helwani said is true. His views to comments, his views to likes, or just views to engagement ratio in general are fucked, okay? When he says that's marketing, that is all but saying, yeah, we buy social media engagement to help my business. And then again, he tries to pivot. Honestly, not that this is going to come as a surprise or be shocking to any of you, but it's really been quite funny hearing all these guys talk about how unbelievably intelligent this guy is, how he has a genius level IQ and whatever else. Meanwhile, comes across like an absolute fucking dummy in this conversation because it's not just someone being his yes man. And while I think Helwani did a good job at pushing in certain spots. It's not like he was super fucking hostile or anything, and there was even a few times I thought he could have maybe pushed a little bit harder, but Moneyberg just folds like a cheap fucking suit. Nevertheless, I bet you his lawyers saw this interview and were fucking pissed. Okay, let's keep going.
Instagram likes, they're bought. You've just confirmed that.
I didn't confirm that at all. I don't manage every little thing in my business.
Do you buy
I do have
Instagram
marketing
engagement, social
agencies.
media engagement?
I do have marketing agencies that help me with things, and however they want to run things. If the results are showing, then I'm good with whatever they do.
But that's hollow, no? Isn't that hollow? Because then it's not real.
You know the one really weird criticism is sometimes people say, like, you bought followers, blah blah. Like, there's bots.
Yeah.
Well, everybody has bots, and I don't want bots.
Sure.
And you don't want bots, but you have them. And
I don't buy.
Well, I don't either. I don't either. And you know who has the most bots is the more famous you are, or the bigger account you have. I read, I don't know if this is true, but I read that Kim Kardashian, like 40% of her followers are bots, like fake. Not because she bought them.
Well, they're attracted to the big sites. They come to the big sites because they're. But your thing has like 50,000 and then like 100 comments, so it's unbalanced. And then you go on your YouTube, it's the same thing. It's 50K, 30K, 40K, but the comments kind of give it away.
I think we limit the comments in.
Oh, you
in
do?
Some of those.
How come? How come?
In there. Because it's my fucking house, and if somebody wants to come shit on my floor, then they don't need to be there.
Oh, so there's a.
Oh, okay, true, guys. It's just because he's so famous that his 30K view YouTube videos or his 50K like Instagram posts only get 30 comments from about the same 5 accounts every single post, or why his YouTube videos will go from being at 800 views in the first 48 hours or so, which are the most important hours of a video's success, by the way, to all of a sudden being at like 40 to 80,000 views while failing for the first couple days. And again, with almost no engagement whatsoever. He's just like Kim Kardashian, guys, okay? But only on Instagram, not YouTube, guys. Don't worry, it's because he goes and deletes thousands of comments from every fucking video. I totally believe you, bud. Don't worry.
A lot of spam. There's a lot of.
Well, there's also, if you run a business page, you may or may not know this. If you run a business page, then you'll have like extraordinary amounts of spam that are like, crypto by Christie, 6241. If it wasn't for crypto by Christie,
50K likes to like 75 comments. No,
I'm not a social media expert.
What about YouTube? Do you buy those views on the channel?
No, I don't think we buy views on YouTube. No.
Okay, so
I don't think so.
That's all legit.
I get like 20,000-30,000 views on most of the stuff. Do I run ads to stuff? Yeah, I run ads to promote some videos.
Sure.
You know who else runs ads? Apple, Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
If on my Instagram, and I posted a screenshot recently because people were saying like, you're paying for this, you're paying for that. My the views that I was getting from advertising was less than 2%. And during the peak of the hysteria, when everybody is super excited talking about my black belt, it was like 0.8%. It was less than 1%. So we're not paying significantly for views on these things. We run ads to targeted groups. That's called a business.
And yet again with a hard pivot, still trying to act like he doesn't buy YouTube views. Listen, okay? His subscriber count has been the same since I first saw Derek Moneyberg, which was from an ad that he was running in the shorts algorithm and things like that, which then made me look into him a little bit more once I saw him with all these fighters and shit. But anyways, if your videos were getting organically 30K views every single video, your channel would be growing. End of discussion, even if it was just a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So yes, he absolutely buys views. It's fucking obvious if you pay any sort of attention to his channel at all.
If a guest comes on your show, do they have to wear the shirt?
If they don't want to wear my shirt and support my brand, then.
But is that part of the deal?
It's not like we have like a contract or a lengthy negotiation. It'd be like, hey bro, would you put this on, please? Okay. We don't have a contract.
No, I know, but the vast majority, if not all, I saw DJ wasn't. He's one of the few that I saw are wearing the shirt. So I wondered how that worked.
In a different video with me, he is wearing a shirt.
Oh, okay. So DJ, I take it back. You wore the shirt. Point is, I've never asked someone to wear something on my show, so I was wondering how that happened.
It's not part of your branding, but it's part of my branding.
So do you tell them, hey, if you come on and I pay you X amount, you have to wear this shirt?
Bro, these are relationships. It's not like contracts. We don't. We have.
No,
no,
I'm not
I-
asking for a
I don't
contract,
have
but
contract.
if you're literally standing in front of someone and be like, yo, man, hey, here's the check for whatever, and here's the shirt. Please put this on if you want to be on the show.
I think they understand. If you look at it, if you look at any of my social media, you see people wearing those shirts. Okay?
Sure.
It's part of the branding that we do. So if a person, I've never had this precise conversation. I've never had a person object to, I'm not wearing that shirt.
If
And I said,
someone
well,
would
you know,
object, would you say thanks but no thanks, no interview?
maybe.
Yeah. It's a
Maybe.
big deal. I mean, this is all part of the,
Is it? Should Apple not put they shouldn't put their logo on the phone?
they're selling a product.
I am too. I have a business.
When you're doing the interview with
I
someone.
have a business.
Yeah.
I'm selling a product.
Okay, so he's selling the MMA fan base a product and is using the fighters as advertisement. Now, I know that we all already knew that, but I'm just glad to hear it from the ogre's mouth, okay? Because it will be funny watching him try to sue people moving forward with all of this out there. Maybe the saddest part about this clip, though, is that it doesn't sound like the fighters do get extra for putting on the shirt. Okay, which honestly, you know what? Fuck it. It's a sick shirt. Unfortunately, they don't ship to my country, or I would get one just for the memes. But anyways, it just means these fighters are doing the shirt, the show, the promotion, all for like $5,000, which is fucking wild to me, man. Okay, again, for people like Ode Osborne and shit, fine. But I was hoping that these guys like Mighty Mouse or whoever else were getting at least 10K for appearing on this bullshit with the shirt and all.
The point is, there's people who don't believe, essentially, if I could boil it down in the most raw way possible, that you are who you say you are because you're paying famous people to hang around you, do things that you want them to do by putting on your shirt and almost being like a sponsor to them. And then they're gonna, you know, they're gonna hook you up with stuff that people put their blood, sweat, and tears and never accomplish in their life. That's what this boils down to. That's what I think Sean's issue is. That's what I think the jiu-jitsu community's issue is. And I guess your reluctance to acknowledge that is what rubs people the wrong way. That's my read on the situation. Is that fair or unfair?
You can have any opinion you want to. You can have any read that you want to. I know what I did. You know, before one of you guys reached out to me and asked me about coming on your show, okay? And
For the record, you reached out first.
I don't know about that.
Yes, you did.
I asked.
I have the DM.
I'm not arguing with you.
No, but I don't want you to throw my guy under the bus.
I'm about to say
We
something
talked about-
complimentary.
I know,
to you,
but
by the way.
I like truth. You reached out to me. I could read the DM right now.
This is what happened.
And I told my guy to text you because you gave me your number.
This is what happened. Is my name was mentioned on your show?
Yeah, we talked about the Strickland, and then you reached
out.
out to me to come on the show, and then I
That's-
told Eric to reach out to you, and he
actually-
said you were lovely. So there are no issues there. But I want the record to be accurate.
And I'm not trying to misstate that.
Sure.
I heard your name was brought up on my show. So for clarity, my name was brought up on your show.
Yep.
Somebody
The
sent
Sean
that to
Strickland
me.
video.
Somebody sent that to me, and then I reached out and said, "Hey, if you want to talk about it, we could talk." About it.
And you were great. Yes.
So
Oh, I mean, Tomyberg just, you know, one of the many to learn the hard way that Ariel Helwani keeps receipts, okay? Even if you don't like him, you have to acknowledge that, as we have seen it time and time and again. But Tomyberg here trying to play it off like he's some fucking superstar, super sought after guest, and whatever else. Meanwhile, he was the one that reached out first, and we got to watch him in real time walk that shit back, okay? Absolutely fucking pathetic.
In conclusion, you're not looking to fight or compete in any sort of competition. We're not going to see you at some ADCC tournament or anything like
I'm
that.
not a professional fighter.
But you're a black belt.
Okay.
But
There's a lot of black belts that are not professional fighters.
I've seen them
I'm a
compete.
hobbyist
I've
black
seen every
belt.
single one of them compete if they
That's
are.
their prerogative. They can do that.
But if Sean Strickland accepts your offer, the official offer is what, 5 minutes, and he can't tap you
I
with.
don't think the guy would tap me in 5 minutes. We have a legal.
That's the offer,
We have a
right?
legal dispute to clear up first.
Oh, what's
And
that?
If he's open-minded about that later, I'd be open-minded about it. We
What's
could
that?
talk
What's
about
that?
it. I'm not going to discuss the
Okay.
thing, but
So are you-
he has a pending legal case. Or a
Are you
case that will
suing
be
him?
Pending. I am suing him.
For defamation?
I'll let my attorneys deal with that.
Okay.
But I do it. It looks like I'm going to have to sue him. Yes.
Okay, because of the things he said?
He said a lot of very nasty things that are true.
Lie-
He said a lot of very nasty things that are true.
Lie-
He said a lot of very nasty things that are true.
Libel.
That are false. And
Okay.
that hurt my reputation and hurt my brand. And
So
I don't like that.
If he says yes to the match, does the case get dropped or the lawsuit get dropped?
Those are two separate things.
Okay, so that has to be settled first, the lawsuit, and then the match?
I think that would make sense, yes.
So I feel like we're not going to see the match. I was kind of excited about it, to be honest.
I asked him to his face before this if he'd like to do the match, and then he continued to say more false things and repeat lies and create new lies. And I wish it wasn't that way.
Okay.
I respect him. I think he's a very talented fighter, and I have a very good relationship with many other people around him. So I don't know why he made that decision, but that's the decision he's made.
Ooh, man, a bit of a Freudian slip there at the end, okay? Quote, he said a lot of things about me and my business that were true, and I do believe he really meant that because as we learned throughout the course of this video, he did pay Jake Shields close to, or, about $500,000 for the last few years. He did sue Spencer Cornelia for a bunch of things that were legitimate criticisms and ended up being true. He does sell bullshit courses, in my opinion, that are a way of scamming people along with the forced testimonials and whatever else. He sells to you a fake background story to appear like he came from nothing, meanwhile inherited 5 fucking properties from his super poor mother. I mean, the list goes on. So in conclusion, I hope his lawyers have a great time with this interview and don't go all gray or lose all their hair, okay? And I hope Sean Strickland's lawyer, if it comes to that, has an absolute fucking field day with it. Everything we already knew about the guy, he just admitted in this interview. So again, great job by Ariel Helwani here. And as far as things are now, probably won't be touching this topic for a little while unless something absolutely fucking crazy happens. Okay, so anyways, guys, like, subscribe, all that good shit. I will see you at the next one. Bye-bye.